ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरते य उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Om. May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, the mind, all the sensory and motor organs and the life force become efficient. All is verily the one without second, blissful, conscious existence itself. Let me never deny this supreme truth of oneness of existence. May this truth never reject me. I, who am aspiring to realize this true existence as my very self, be endowed with all the virtues necessary for this and have been spoken of by the scriptures. Om, peace, peace, peace. Let us feel this oneness of existence by dissolution of our egos. These egos create this illusion of multiplicity. Let me imagine that I am a statue made of salt. Being immersed in the infinite ocean. All my different layers outer and inner are dissolving fast. feeling more and more the infinite existence full of bliss. Gone is the last vestige of separateness. The whole existence filled with bliss. Is what I am. There is no time or space or any limitation on me anymore. I am perfection itself, for nothing can be added to me or subtracted from me. I am that I am. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Clicker. So friends, let us begin today's discussion of this great text that infuses the much needed devotion in our life by making our minds concentrated on that. The minds which are all distracted by various inputs from this so-called world, the world of ego and name and form. They keep on tormenting us. And the only solution is to tune that mind to the all-pervading, constant, unchanging, blissful existence. When we connect to the blissful existence, we get bliss. When we connect to this world of egos, what can we expect, friends, but torments and all the problems. So therefore it is this a text is so important. This is called Mahapurana. So, means the great amongst all these epics depicting the stories about the divine sport of the Lord. So, we learn from these. So, let us begin with our regular chant. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditaratashchartheshvabhijñasvarat tene brahmahridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat surayah tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. That from whom creation, sustenance and dissolution of the universe takes place, who is both the instrumental and material cause of it, who is omniscient, is the only one having self-mastery, being the one independent entity, who illumined the mind of Brahma with the Vedic revelation, whose wisdom is the wonder of the greatest sages, in whom the world of the three gunas subsist, just as the combination of materials like fire, water and earth subsist in their causes without changing their elemental nature, in whose consciousness there is nothing false. On that truth supreme we meditate. So in this discussion we were having this story of Kapila, the God incarnate, talking to his mother, who knew that although he is her child, yet he is God. A very complex situation. My child. So you get the idea, I have to protect my child. I have to give all that is necessary, provide for my child. And yet there is the awareness that he is God who protects everyone, who provides for everyone. So see the funny situation here. I have to provide for my child, but it is the child, the God, now who is not only for me the provider of the whole universe. I have to protect him from all the calamities. But actually the God that the child is the protector of everyone. So this is a very complex connection. The one is the mother's connection with the child, which is an instrument for flow of this love. But this love is not for a person as such. There are all those different attitudes described in the devotion scriptures, and they are like the one peaceful, just a peaceful attitude, Shanta Bhav. Then there is the attitude of servant, being servant of God. Then there is the attitude of Vatsalya, means parental love for the children. So you can think of God as your child. And then love flows through that channel. Then there is the attitude of friendship. God is my dear friend. And then there is what is called Madhur Bhava. God is my beloved in the sense of, say, a sex partner, like my husband or my lover. Beloved usually unsanctioned by society. And there is a socially sanctioned relationship, and there is a relationship that society just frowns upon. So now there the intensity of love is more because it has to overcome all these social restrictions and so forth. So, but that is very dangerous something. It has to be with the awareness of God. Not that that is how the gopis or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was not exactly with the gopis Madhur Bhav alone, but the idea was that it is not that they were loving some man. The attitude was, this is God. That loving God with that attitude doesn't come very naturally to most people. And if many people who try to think it, the chances are that they are just superimposing that their desires of union with another person and imagining that they are doing it on God. That shift to God requires tremendous practice of purity and so forth. So all these relations through which the love manifests, but it has to be for God. That is where the gopis, their example is very good in the sense that they say that Krishna, we know that you are not a human being. You are not child of that Yashoda and Nanda. Nakhalu gopika nandano bhavan. You are not the Nandan, the child of that Yashoda, but you are the indwelling self of everyone. Akhila dehina mantaratmadrik. So that is the knowledge that they had, the understanding and the attitude that they had. So that is why immediately that after quoting the example of gopis, therefore that Narada in his aphorisms on devotion clarifies it, that without this Mahatmya Jnana, means the knowledge, the understanding, the attitude of divine being there, it would be just a very censurable, ordinary this attraction. So therefore, all these different these loves are there. So this is the questions here are asked by Kapil's mother Devahuti, that well, you are going to go away, but before you go, please illumine my heart, bring the blessings to me of this divine attitude and remove my bondage of this samsara, this worldly attachments. So she was already aware, feeling actually our attitude, our limitations. She was such a pious lady, tremendously. So, but she is asking on our behalf. So, it is many times, I am just giving an example that in the Congress, some representative says about what are we going to do with these poor people in the country, these homeless, we have to, work hard for, to get all the benefits to them, all that. Now that congressman may be a billionaire, he is not asking for himself, but he is fighting for the rights or the benefits that should accrue the poor section of society. So that is how Devhuti is not, the mother is not really asking only for herself. It is for the whole world. And this conversation therefore gets read and meditated upon, explained by all the spiritual aspirants. For thousands of years this is happening. So we are also discussing it from that point of view. So we see here that how the time is that fear that gets incited in us because of our attachment to body and all those possessions that we have, that it is the time. It all is in our life. It has a big, without the conception of time, nothing in our world goes on. Everything is bound by time. And what does time do? Takes away. Everything is consumed in the flow of time. The childhood is consumed, the person becomes a youth. The childhood, if so, the body is also taken away. One dies, all the possessions go away. So we are afraid of losing all that, and therefore that fear is the one who incites that fear is time. So we get scared that I may lose this. What will happen in future? Anxiety. A very big challenging situation for so many people. I was talking to one devotee last night because of this anxiety, that it is so the only way is that okay, things which are going to go away, do not put mind in them. Otherwise there is no, what will you may take some pills to get rid of anxiety. What it means is that your brain will be dulled for some time, so that you forget those things. But this spiritual treatment for this is that, see, why you are anxious? Because you have the fear that all those things that you think yours, they are going to be taken away from you, including this body. So a great saintly person told about this fear. His name was Bhartrihari. So he said, everything in this world is associated with this fear that it will go away. It will go away. My property, house, money, go away. It is not going to be yours permanently. It will go away. Your body will go away. Your health will go away. Your scholarship will be laughed at, what you are so proud about it. The future generations will laugh at it. So, all this is going to go away. Vairagyameva bhayam. Only thing that is free from fear is that spirit of dispassion. So, that is where the time then does not have a sway. Otherwise, it incites fear that things will go. Identified with body, mind, ego, there is the fear of losing. But we are rational beings. We can think that that which is not, let it go away. Anything that is not going to go away. That which is not has to go away. It is very important to see clearly. It is our fogged vision does not let us see clearly. That which is just appearance, it must go away. Let it go away. It unnecessarily keeps on tormenting the mind, making me anxious, making me upset and angry. So, therefore, it is very important to see it like that. And then it is told that, look, this time, therefore, is seen as the God of this world. Many descriptions of God incarnate is associated with time. The Ram Nam Sankirtanam that we chant, it begins like this. Shuddha Brahma Parat Pararam Kalatmaka Parameshwara Ram. That Kalatmaka, Kala means time. The Brahman, Rama, that which is beyond description, beyond all limitations, pure, all-pervading existence, consciousness, bliss, the Brahman. And then the next step of this manifestation is Kalatmaka Parameshwara Ram. So, that is how you see birth, death. Time is the God who initiates the creative disturbance by disturbing the equilibrium. We saw that equilibrium, in equilibrium no creation possible, you see. It is only when it is disturbed then the movement begins. It is equilibrium has to get disturbed. There has to be a polarity for the current to flow. No polarity, no flow. If it is just a lake, same plane, water is on the same plane, there is no flow. A river has a flow because of the disturbance. Means equilibrium is not there. There is the high level, there is the low level. So, there is the flow. All energy also flows like that. Higher temperature or higher intensity, higher voltage to the lower temperature or intensity or voltage. So, there is this flow. So, that is with that the time begins, as it were, the flow. So, it comes and goes. that everything is in flux here. So then we see that there is the creation, as it were, happens there. Very interesting idea that this disturbance, this equilibrium has to go away. There should be inequilibrium for the creation to take place. Many think, that there would be perfect justice in the world. There should be perfect equality in the world. They hardly understand the meaning of this is there will be no world. The perfect equality means no world possible there. It is, there is always, the disturbance, the equilibrium is lost. And then equilibrium, when it is gained, that means the world is not going to be there. So, one must understand this, that it is this. So, it begins with an egg, as it were, There is the egg. That you see, that egg comes. It is coming, you see. That egg comes. Now, this is the universal egg. Means in egg, like say chicken. The egg is containing potentially all parts of the chicken inside. There are the beak is there, the legs are there, wings are there. All those are in the egg, but they are not right now seen, not manifesting. This whole universe is like a golden egg. Hiranyagarbha, it is called. Golden means it is shining. There is the potential to express the inner light, as it were. The power or the light is inside, and it is trying to get out from the shell and manifest. So, everything is included in that, this whole existence with all its varieties, and they were all that was in this egg. It is called therefore Brahmanda. Anda means egg. Brahman, and that egg form of it, it is so Brahmanda. So, this egg then all individual creation, gross and subtle, comes out of the God. It is all God is manifesting through this. It is here that there is a very important distinction between what is called Sankhya philosophy and Vedanta philosophy. In Sankhya philosophy, there are these two separate entities. The conscious being, the Purusha, is the conscious being. And there is this matter, Prakriti. So, the Prakriti does all the creation. The conscious being is just there, that's all, doesn't do anything. But in Vedanta, the two are not together, separate. That same conscious being has the power called Prakriti. It is together. That togetherness of both is to be seen, as Sri Ramakrishna was never tired of repeating this, that Brahman and Shakti, they are one and the same, like the fire and its burning power. You can never separate them. So they are together. And so it is that conscious entity, that God, through the modifications in this Prakriti, manifests as all different small and big things. So you see, it is this all that big egg, it becomes then individualized. Small, each has a creative capability. So every individual capability is like the part of that universal capability. So each, like we have the power of creation, individual. So it is stemming from there. So, and then the individual soul gets caught in it through identification with qualities of Prakriti. Then this manifestation, what happens? This ego gets identified with matter. This is how the conscious entity and the unconscious matter, they get tied together and get tied into a very intricate, complicated knot. It is called in Sanskrit Chit Jada Granthi, the conscious principle and then the so-called inert principle. They are so tied in such a complex and involved way. You do not know what is conscious and what is inert. It is all mixed up. So, and then therefore this conscious entity I get identified without any rationale. It gets identified with say body. What is it? I am this flesh, heap of flesh. Am I that? No, you won't like to be called that. I am not a particular sized heap of flesh, blood and all that. No, but that is what I get identified with. What a terrible thing, friends. Let us feel how seriously we have, our freedom has been impacted by this terrible identification. There is absolutely no rationale for that, as Shankaracharya beautifully and very powerfully explains in this in his introductory commentary on Brahma Sutras. It is called a chapter on superimposition, how one gets superimposed on something else, and thus you don't know what is what. One gets called this heap of flesh gets called as I. No rationale for it, absolutely. And yet we smart under that misconception that I weigh so many pounds, my height is such and such, I am a PhD, all those things, they are all this identification of the conscious entity with the matter. It is all therefore a very big confounded confusion, and that is what causes the bondage. And the bondage nobody likes, bondage is a misery. The bondage, freedom is joy, bliss. Bondage is misery. Do you like bondage, Vittal? No, isn't it? Because bondage is suffering. You want to become free. So, It is, but freedom means what? Disidentification of the spirit with this from matter. Cut this, not as it were. That it is that knot cannot be untied, impossible. It is cannot be resolved. Just take the sword of knowledge and cut it. That is what they tell, that Alexander the Great, that is, he cut the Gordian knot as it were. They were struggling to open it, and he took the sword, that's it. So this knot has to be cut, that no, I am not this body and that which is attached to the body. It all becomes, you feel so free. It is, when I am this body, all the troubles, they cannot be unburdened at all. Because the body is a big burden. This identification. So when you know, the knowledge tells you that I am not that. Yes, do you get it, Charlie? Yeah. So that is good. So that is how you say the problem that is described here. And so separating the all-pervading spirit in everything created, one must meditate on this Supreme Spirit with loving devotion for getting freedom. That is what Kapila advises to his mother. There is lot of discussion here. We will skip that because we had done similar discussions earlier about how the various these elements come from it, how it is in a different words and different way described here, but essentially how the elements come about, how they combine, how the ego gets formed and so forth. So we had discussed that earlier, so we shall skip that part. And then but very interesting here that even though we are skipping it because we had done it earlier, it says that all this is the combinations of different matters, modifications of matter, and the principle of sentiency then pervades everything. It enters into everything. So everything becomes sentient because of that principle. And the manifestation of this sentience differs. It is very interesting to see this. The Sanskrit word is very, very nice. That chittena hridayam chaityah kshetradhya pravishadyada. So pravishad means enters. That sentience enters into everything. All these modifications of matter. But how things become sentient? The sentience being, as it were, enters into all that in such a way that now you cannot separate the two. It is, try, that am I sentient? What, are you sentient? No? Yes, yeah. Everybody will say, I am sentient. But where is your sentience? Is it in the nose or in the ear or in which part of the body? Or it is in the bone or in the bone marrow? Is it in the heart? So can I separate it by heart surgery? Where is it? It is there and it is not there. Oh, it is, the description is very interesting. Like you have the sun reflected in the pool of water. Is the sun there in the water or not? It is and it is not. So, it is not. It is, there is a little child fighting with mother because the child wanted to go out and swim in the pond all the time, and so the mom scolded, "Hey, you will catch cold, enough, come out." Then the child points out to the reflection of the sun in the pond. See, the sun has been dipped in the water for such a long time. Will it not catch cold? No, it won't catch cold. It is not actually dipped in the water. It appears to be. So, the self in us, is it in the body? Will it get tormented because of the fluctuations in the body? No, just as the sun in the pond doesn't really get affected because it is not there, the sun is in the sky. So, this idea of getting liberation is very interesting. First thing that we have to note, and this Devahuti had asked this, how shall I get the liberation? And then Bhagavan, the Lord, in the form of her son Kapila, says, though the Purusha is subsisting in Prakriti, he is unaffected by Prakriti and its transformations, even as the sun is unaffected by the movements of its reflections in water. It is, the sun does not get affected by that. If the reflection is in a muddy water, the sun doesn't get soaked in mud. It doesn't need to be cleansed with soap. It hasn't been actually getting dirty. No effect is happening to the sun. So this is to be remembered, that whatever the situation may be, whatever the problems that we are facing, sometimes they are so overwhelming that we think actually that I am going to lose these things, now I am being tormented and so forth. It is, no, nothing has happened to you, just that the sun does not have any impact. So let us remember that the self remains unaffected completely. Everything is going on the backdrop of the self, but nothing tarnishes the self in the slightest way. This is the first step to be remembered, because then our efforts will be focused in the right direction. Otherwise, these depressing thoughts start coming, and it is with everyone. Oh, in my past I had done so many bad things. Now where is the hope for me? Myself has become very, very impure now. How my impure self can get liberation? The self has never become impure. It is to be known. Whatever actions the body and mind have taken, the body and mind will have the impact of it. but the self does not get even the slightest spot, slightest touch of any of it. This is to be remembered. So then he tells that, look, when the Purusha becomes intensely attached to the gunas of Prakriti, by identifying himself with them, he forgets his changeless nature and considers himself as the agent of the movements of Prakriti. It is, although the word his and all is used, there is no gender thing involved in it. It is there is no gender there for the Purusha. So it is the problem of language. So it is there is no touch at all. Although it appears that I am doing something, I did so much charitable work, I am so intelligent, and or I am so dumb, and I am so bad, I get upset so easily, I am a very bad person. It is, all these are the superimposed agentship. The self neither does anything nor gets the result of anything. Do you not see in a big war movie, so much of bloodshed goes on, so many fires they are happening there, big things, big buildings, they come down with explosions, and all that is happening on the screen. What happens to the screen, Vittal? Nothing. Nothing, exactly. Remember that. That nothing happens to my true nature. It is the movie that begins and that comes to an end. In movie, somebody was a villain, and then some good guy, hero, comes and kills the villain. But there is actually nothing has happened to the screen. It is all fine. The movie went on. Good things happened, bad things happened. And the screen remains untouched. Although without screen, that movie will not happen. So, without self, nothing actually happens. And yet, self is not involved in anything. This is the first very important step to realize our freedom. Get it, Naomi? That I am pure. Tell yourself, I am pure. I have not done anything good or bad. The actions are not really done by me at all. It is, and so now it is the process of this detaching oneself from this phenomena, that identification, I do this, I am so and so, these are my powers, these are my these things, this is how what I can do, this is what you need to do, all that. It is, all that is right, but that is what brings us into these sufferings, the bondage and consequent suffering. That is, so Kapila continues that the real agent is Prakriti and not the Purusha, and thus there is no basis for the sense of agency on the part of Purusha. that we identify wrongly. That is why it happens that, yes, I came to Providence from New York. And did I? No, doesn't go anywhere. The body came from New York to Providence. I didn't go anywhere. I doesn't go anywhere. So the agentship is wrongly assumed on this self. So he continues, yet the sense of identification with Prakriti is enough to involve the Purusha in the cycle of birth and death. This irrational identification. Just as for one involved in a dream, identification is enough to give the dreamer experience of a painful or pleasurable nature. That happens in the dream. Sometimes you may see a person sleeping, and if you are not asleep, if you see the person is seen smiling, some happy dream is happening. Sometimes the face appears to be scared. So all those, now this is all actually nothing is happening. It is, nothing needs to be done either. That suppose that you see that Rajagopal is sleeping, and then he is, save me, he is in the sleep saying, save me, the tiger is attacking me. And suppose Prasanna is sitting there, and now is she going to get a gun to shoot the tiger? No, she will be laughing that because there is no tiger at all. No tiger at all. So she may just nudge him and say, wake up, where are you? So then he wakes up. Hey, then there is no thought, who shot the tiger? Where did the tiger go? All that just vanishes in a moment. So this is like a dream. I am so and so, and this is my spouse, this is my child, this is my home, this is my job, and so forth. Just disidentify that I am not involved in any of these things. So then the sadhana is prescribed. Therefore, to gain liberation, the mind has to be slowly drawn away. Slowly means gradually. It doesn't mean that you have to be slow. No. It is, the word slow gives, presses so many buttons in us. Oh, so I don't have to do it now. Slowly it is told. So maybe once a year if I meditate, that's okay. Slowly, no. Slowly only means there will be the gradual stages of spiritual evolution. That's all. It doesn't mean that you have to do slowly. Depends on what kind of body-mind vehicle that you are in. But this has to be done without any complacency. Slowness, the word slow sometimes brings the stupid idea of complacence. That no, sir, let it happen gradually, no, like that. So today's time is over. There is some more explanation on this point, but we will take it up by His grace next Friday, and we will conclude. We'll do that chant. This is the third verse of the Bhagavatam that we use as the closing chant, and then if you have questions, you are free to ask. Nigamakkalpatarurgalitam phalam shukamukhadamritadrava pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuruho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. O devotees, quaff to intoxication this nectar of the truth of the tree of Vedas, flowing from the mouth of the great sage Shuka, and mix with the ambrosia from his words. Oh, someday I have to tell a story about what is it meant by Shuka, this. So, but now the time is over, so some other time we will take up this idea. A very interesting idea. So, okay, any questions today?
Swamiji, there is one online question.
One question.
Yes, from Seema Raj Kondavar. If we are spirit, unchanging and unaffected in the slightest way, there is no role of karma yoga. And how do we get to know that we have attained chitta shuddhi?
Well, there is a full role of karma yoga. There is the role of karma yoga is very important. See, this is the karma yoga, therefore is like this, to keep on doing the actions with this background awareness that God is in all. Actually, we could not get time to read it. Next time we will be reading that how Kapila explains to his mother that thus you have to behave lovingly with everyone, serve everybody lovingly without expecting anything. Everybody will have to do the actions. The work is not a matter of choice. There is no option of not working. So, work with the attitude of devotion and offering to Lord, whereby you will be able to disidentify yourself. Once you reach that stage of disidentification, then you don't need karma yoga per se. Whatever your actions are, then they will not affect you at all. But otherwise, we have to take the attitude of God is the doer, and I am offering all results to God. Let me do everything without an iota of selfishness, with the attitude of serving others. That is how the karma yoga becomes very necessary for getting this disidentification. Yeah. So, how do you know? Yeah, Chitta Shuddhi. How do you know? That was asked, how do you know Chitta Shuddhi has happened? That there will be the signs described, that you will be more happy in life. The happiness will be coming from inside. This is a person who is that the mind is all full of pollution. It becomes elated or depressed because of the external situation. Oh, my friend or my spouse was not behaving right with me, and that makes a person happy or sad. But with Chitta Shuddhi, the happiness will be springing from within, independent of what the situation is. So that is one important sign that the heart is getting purified. Other thing is love. The love will spring up because there is no there is no selfishness. The love will automatically manifest. Otherwise, our love is where I can get things from. That is love. So it is that is not the love when your mind becomes pure. It will manifest in the real sense. That is, there will be no expectation tied with that love. Do you get it, Yona? Yeah. So it is, that is how the love should be manifesting with heart becoming pure. As the heart becomes pure, then there won't be any expectation. So expectation is the sign of impure heart. So that is how you will know that my expectations are getting reduced. I am feeling happy because of the inner joy, feeling the presence of God, and so forth. So that is how the sign of Chitta Shuddhi you can see. Thank you, Sima. And so let us conclude with our closing chant. मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल। कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल।